What is it? Just organization, stability, efficient, effective, corruption-free government and administration. Everything works, whether it's water, electricity, gas, telephones, telexes. It just has to work. If it doesn't work, I want to know why. And if I'm not satisfied, as I often was not, the chief goes. And I have to find another chief. Firing a chief is very simple.
Firing a chief is very simple. I will keep playing this Lee Kuan Yew's footage until we get some accountability for the mess that we have seen in the MRT. Right? I promise you I will keep playing that. Okay? Because I think it's ridiculous that no one is taking responsibility or over such incident. It's not one incident, it's not one big incident, it's I think at least 5 incidents right now, right? Within a short period of time. And I want to know why also. I believe LKYs also want to know why. Okay? Now, talking about LKY, Lee Kuan Yew. I have to memories about his death in 2015. Right? And a friend of mine actually bought George Yeo's book, the latest book, George Yeo, Musing with a guy who called, what's his name already? Right? In his book is a biography, I suppose, that he have touched on a secret meeting that I had with him in way back in year 2015, and that was just briefly after LKY's passed away, right? If I remember correctly. Okay. Now I actually wrote to him through Facebook, I think, that says I'm in Hong Kong, and I also know that he's in Hong Kong because he was the chairman of Carry Logistic, right? And he was staying in a Shangri-La Hotel, Hong Kong, right? So he agreed to meet up. Actually, it's hush hush. Nobody is supposed to know about this. I only a few confidence of mine, inner circle of mine, actually knew about this meeting. Why I want to suddenly meet up with him, especially so when I was his opponent in 2006, when I was a candidate of a Workers' Party contesting in the Aljunied GRC together with Sylvia Lim, James Gomez, Raizan, right, Inchik Raizan, and Tan Wee Wah, right? It's an unforgettable battle that we have because we have this James Gomez saga, and James Gomez was stopped at the airport, you know, and was brought back to Cantonment Street, the HQ police station for interrogation. Okay, right? Because of his accusation that he has made against election department's staff, but later on he actually apologized. And there's some story about this apology, right? Never mind. This is an interesting story when I will write my own biography if I have a time about all these happenings in the past. It's very interesting happenings back then. It was a very well fought battle. It's the first revival of Workers' Party back in 2006. And of course, we sent Civil Lim into Parliament as an NCMP back then. And that paved her way, and as well as Workers' Party, strengthens Workers' Party to win the 2011 election in Aljunied GRC, right? But as an opponent, I think during the fight about over this James Gomez saga, I remember very clearly because it's one of my memorable battle. George Yeo was actually telling us, the Workers' Party team from for Aljunied GRC, why not we drop James Gomez, right? Right in the middle of the battle, LKY came out to scold, James Gomez and our team, Then Lee Hsien Loong also came out to talk, Then George Yeo actually came along and said, why not we drop James Gomez? And I remember correctly, actually, I didn't get clearance from Mr. Loh Tia Kang. Loh Tia Kang actually was very angry that I made this statement. But I defended James Gomez, all right? I said in the rally, George Yeo was a general, brigadier general, an officer, army officer. I'm also a trained army officer, although I got back then only a lieutenant or a captain at most, right? I said, look, we are trained from OCS, and there's one honor, and it's always about duty, honor, country. We are brought up in that values, the core values as an officer. Duty, honor, country. And one of the honor that we have as an officer, we always taught, leave no one behind. Right? So my during the election, I think it was the last election rally in Hougang. Okay, I was telling George Yeo that, you see, look, I will not leave my men behind, not my campaign mate, James Gomez. Right? We fought together, we stood together. If we are going to lose, we lose together. Right? We are not going to throw anyone under the bus. Right? And that was the first battle I had with George Yeo. But George Yeo is a good a gentleman, actually, an officer and a gentleman. There's nothing personal between us. Right? It's just a matter, the process of a democracy that we are going through. We are serving our country in different perspective, in different proposition. I will not say opposition, but proposition and stance that we have. Okay, so I think there's no strong language, so to speak, although we hold very different views. But I have to say this, we hold the same core values. It's always duty, honor, country. So I believe, unfortunately for George, Mr. George Yeo, he lost his seat in 2011. Of course, I'm very happy. His loss means that opposition as a whole has progressed, and I'm happy because I'm part of the people who have pushed for that agenda, right? To make democracy a real democracy in Parliament, progressing. I will not say that we have a truly democratic system right now, but at least we progress, right? Because before that, winning and GRC is an unimaginable feat, almost mission impossible. Okay, nobody could imagine that opposition can win. But after that, well, he left the party. According to what he had written, he was so-called asked to leave. Right? I don't know whether he left the party, but he left his the CEC of the party, and he didn't. I respected him for this. Most of the PAP MPs or ministers, right? When they, especially the ministers, when they left the post, right, they will get a cushy job with some GLCs, right, somewhere, right? PAP government will take care of them. Well, because they are scholars, so-called, right? So they will not be left behind, so-called, because to them they have served the country or the party or the government, the ruling party in certain ways. So they will be put into certain position, right? But for George Yeo, he didn't take up any cushy position in any GLCs. None. Zero. Right? I respected him for that. Right? He went to took up Kwek Ling Bing's offer to become the chairman of a Carry Logistics, a public listed company, a private company, privately owned, right? Singapore government have no interference or influence over this company. So I respected him for that. When I saw that, I said, wow, he is the very first one, a high profile minister. He was a high profile minister. Why I would say that? Because he was one of the dark horse, so called, right, during the era of Goh Chok Tong, right, a potential prime minister caliber, right, along with well, Lee Hsien Loong, right, Lee Hsien Loong, Teo Chee Hean, him. These are the three potential, right. So anyway, when LKY passed away in 2015, why did I actually ask to visit him? Because the situation in geopolitics, right, is changing. We can, for people like us, or even closer to China in Hong Kong, when we read the news, all the information and all that, we are seeing a certain tension building up, right? Geopolitics, the South China Sea saga. And we have a Terrex incident, remember? Right? There is actually a little show of power by the Chinese government. It is not that they do not know that we have military exercise in Taiwan. Okay? They know. It's an open secret, right? It's just that they didn't want to interfere directly with the transshipment of this so-called mobile armored mobile vehicles (AMP), right? Armored personal mobile vehicles (APMV). Okay, so he passed through Canton, right? I think Shenzhen or Canton. They didn't stop it, but when it comes to Hong Kong, right, it was seized, right? So he used Hong Kong as intermediary to actually teach Singapore a lesson. For whatever reasons, I think there are some tension, right? So I saw it is not really. It's actually a signal that the tension is actually building up, and the Chinese are building their aircraft carrier, and with the passing of Lao Li, LKY, I think, to the credit of Lee Kuan Yew, he does have a certain stature or respect from both the Taiwanese as well as the Chinese in China, mainland China, as well as America. So Singapore play a very significant role during the initial opening up of Chinese market to the Taiwanese, right? The Wang Hu Hui Tan, right? That means the peace talk between Taiwan and China actually was carried out in Singapore, which was actually mediated meditated by Lee Kuan Yew. So we play a very important role in that, with the understanding of the Americans. Right? Actually, Lee Kuan Yew play a very important role, without doubt about it. And we have a stability for 30 years from, I think, 30 years from 1980s because of that contribution, that role. Right? But with the passing of LKY, I think the leadership of Lee Hsien Loong is really facepalm. Why? He can be so insensitive to actually talk bad jokes about the mainland Chinese in front of an American president. He was one talking about, the smoking nature in Beijing, right? You don't need to smoke. You just open your windows, you can see the smoke. That sort of joke is bad joke, right? Diplomatically insensitive and incorrect, politically incorrect. You don't talk about such jokes about another country in front of the potential competitor, right? It's bad taste. So back then, I was feeling that with the passing of LKY, I think, and I remembered George Yeo as a very smooth diplomat, right? He is very well read in history and culture, right? Well, I pay special attention to my opponents. He was once of my opponents. So, although I don't think he really reads or really have a very strong Mandarin background, but he actually read a lot about Chinese culture, whether it's Confucius or even Taoism, which I myself had not read that deep in. Buddhism is okay, but not Taoism, right? He has a strong understanding of the Chinese culture and the Chinese mindset. And he also have a strong understanding of the European, the Western culture and the Western mindset, right? In fact, he's very cultural person. And in diplomacy, it's very important to have that background. And rightfully so, he has been a very effective diplomat. Right? So I actually approached him. I said, look, um, now I can see the tension building up between the Americans and the Chinese, whether it's about the Taiwanese situation or the South China Sea situation, the geopolitics. Right? We need stability for Singapore because Singapore cannot have warfare or tension in our backyard, in our main trading partners near, well, China, mainland China is actually our main trading partners, as well as America. Between the two, right, we have to maintain that stability and balance. And I do not have confidence in Lee Hsien Loong and his team because Lee Hsien Loong can be so insensitive in his remarks. Right? I have totally lost confidence. I think he could have played, for George Yeo, he could have played a more effective role if he go back into politics. Either to contest again and become the foreign minister again, or become the president candidate. I was talking about presidential candidate already. Why? It was due in 2017. I knew. I actually told him why not? No. It is nothing about whether I'm in opposition or he's in the PAP or a ruling party. It's about what's the best option for the country. Right? And beyond our past contest, right? There's nothing personal in between. And that was briefly mentioned. He didn't say what the details that they transpired between us and why these meetings happened. And that is actually the context, right? That is actually the context, right? So, but unfortunately, he didn't took up my proposition. And then I can see from his post, he's quite happy after stepping down from Carry Logistic, right, as a chairman, and writing his books, going around um, the world, visiting the world with his wife. His wife have survived a very rare cancer, right, and in remission, and they look exceptionally happy. I'm happy for him also. So all the best, George.